Okay, in today's video we are going to be doing an oil pressure check on this freshly rebuilt CB750 engine. Now if you're new to my channel, I have a 9-hour video that shows you how to rebuild this engine. Link is in the upper right or in the video description. Check that out. So basically, I want to make sure that the oil pump is providing pressure, oil pressure, before I fire this thing up. So I just want to crank it over with the battery or the starter and verify that I have oil pressure. I did prime the pump prior to assembly. So what I did is I submerged it in oil and I ran the gear drive or the drive gear to purge all the air out of the system. I installed it and hopefully that's enough to get it to prime and provide pressure. Okay, so over here, you know, normally this cap is installed. Okay, if you remove that, that's the oil gallery. Okay, what I'm going to do is put this plug in here, which I modified. This is nothing more than a drain plug, I believe M20 by 1.5 thread. I went on Amazon, and this is a Dorman 090-040.1 drain plug. I guess it fits like Subarus and stuff like that. So what I did is I drilled a through hole. Okay, I think it's about an 1/8 inch diameter through the plug. Doesn't matter, could be smaller, bigger, whatever. And then I drilled and tapped it for a 1/8 NTP pipe thread. Okay, and this thing comes with a gasket, so we'll just go ahead and screw that in. And what we'll do is we'll hook up an oil gauge to that and spin it over and see what happens. Now I know there are companies like Joker Machine. They make like an $80 or $100 fitting here with a gauge permanently installed. I'm not going to do that because I just want to verify that there's oil pressure, and then I'll remove this and I'll run the stock plug. Okay, so we'll just snug that up. Okay, so let's assemble the oil filter. I had to buy a new bolt from 4-into-1 because my old one was completely stripped out. So we'll put a little oil on this O-ring that was already installed when I bought it. Okay, so put a little oil on there. That guy goes in there like so. Make sure you push it down. All right, next goes the spring, then a washer. Okay, a washer because otherwise the spring will damage the grommet here. So the spring just kind of helps protect this rubber guy here. Okay, as far as the filter, it doesn't matter which way it goes. I'm using a Wix 24940. And then we'll put a little bit of oil on this O-ring here. And we'll go install it in the motor. Okay, here we are at the motor. See this casting, these two casting ribs? It accepts this guy here. Okay, so there's a correct way to install this guy. So go ahead and okay, the oil pressure kit I'm using is the OTC 5610. This is a new tool for me. I've wanted this to just diagnose various things. So you can see it comes with a high pressure gauge for transmissions, a low pressure for oil, and it comes with a whole bunch of fittings. This hose on here already is 1/8 NTP, so all I got to do is jam this thing into that plug I made, and we'll have a gauge. So this is a really nice tool. I've been wanting it for some time. And that's why I didn't want to run a standalone gauge on the engine, because I can use this for other projects. Okay. All right, so this just goes in here like this. Okay, it's snug. I think that's good enough. Okay, we'll dump in 3 quarts of GN4 10W40. You see where that is with this dipstick. All right, so we are good on oil there. All right, I'm gonna go steal the battery out of my Chevelle so we can run this starter. Okay, here's my setup. Car battery. I got the ground hooked up to the ground cable, which is here. And then here's the positive starter lead directly to the starter. And all I'm gonna do is touch this guy to the battery and the starter should spin and we should get oil pressure. All right, here we go. Okay, let's try again. Shit. Okay, one more thing I'm going to try. What I have is the bike is on its side stand. I pulled this plug and I poured a couple ounces of oil in here just because, why not? The oil is going to run downhill and it's going to go into all the main cavities and whatnot. Anyway, I just thought I'd do that. I'd open it up and see if there was any oil coming, and there was not. So the theory here is if it's on its side, maybe it'll burp that air bubble that's in the pump or whatever and get it primed. But if not, we'll have to pull the pump. So this is the last try before I decide to pull the pan and the pump. All right, so let's try this out. Okay, pump's coming off. Okay, I have to work with it here because it's actually right underneath the motor. You can see the oil still dripping. So I'm just going to try to prime it in this spot, slap it up there, and we'll see what happens. So this is pretty much how I primed it prior to assembling it, but you know, I had the motor upside down for some time, so I think it just lost its prime. Anyway, the oil comes in here, okay, from the oil tank, goes through this guy, and should come out of there. Okay, so let me just go ahead and spin this guy. You can see that there's air. You see that air bubble right there? So there's all these air bubbles coming out of there. I'm not sure which way this guy's supposed to spin either. So I do see some air bubbles coming out. Now I want to get some RPM on this thing. So what I have here, this is a rubber wheel for removing decals. It's a 3M wheel. And got it hooked up to a drill. So what I'm going to try to do is just put a little bit of pressure on this gear and see if I can spin it. Okay, so that guy's got to go this way. So I got to go in reverse. All right, let's see. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. This is going to make a frickin' mess. Let's try it faster, right? Slinging oil everywhere. It's a major pain in the ass, let me tell you. Doesn't really want to go the other way. There's some resistance. Well, it's definitely moving oil. It was stuck to the bottom of the pan. The scavenge pump is sucking. Yeah, it's sucking to the bottom of the pickup is sucking to the bottom of the pan. So, I don't know, man. I think that's as good as it's going to get. I mean, I got this wheel and I spun it really fast. So we'll go ahead and install it, see what happens. Okay, oil pump is back on. I filled up the tank with 3 quarts of oil. I did not put the oil pan on. Okay, reason being is if I don't get pressure, then it's coming back off again, and I don't want to go through all that. So what's going to happen is if oil pressure occurs and the engine fills up with oil, it's just going to drain right back down, and I have a pan underneath, okay? So that's fine, okay, as long as I don't keep pumping this thing dry, right? So that's the plan. Gotta be kidding me. There it goes. It's climbing. There we go. £50. Awesome. Okay, I'll check my oil tank really quick. Okay, still have oil in there. I'm gonna keep going until oil starts, yeah, see oil's leaking from somewhere, you know, the top end or whatever, and it's going back down into my pan. But let's go again. Let's just make sure it's all good. All right, 50 pounds, we're good. And you can see oil's draining down. So I'll let it drain and then I'll reinstall the pan. Yeah, so if you rebuild one of these motors, I would leave the oil pan and pump off, install the engine, and then do this procedure, because once you have it upside down, you just kind of, you know, that oil's gonna drain out of the pump. I'll do a close-up of the gauge for you guys here. Okay, so we got oil pressure. Next step is to, you know, I'm rebuilding the carbs, vapor blasting everything, obviously putting the rest of the stuff on, and I got to check for spark. And then we should be able to fire this thing up. So stay tuned for that.